So I'm going to make this video about if I actually had to start again when it comes to filmmaking and videography, what I would do first, because let's be honest, we've all made mistakes. We've all bought a whole bunch of gear that we pretty much don't use anymore. And I want to obviously stop you guys from doing the same mistakes or making the same mistakes as what I've done. So hopefully this video will help. I'm going to give you 5, major things that you can do right now, and then 5 things that you should be doing down the track. But I'm going to skip over, the very obvious stuff. Extra batteries, cards, all those kind of small things. We're not going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the major things that really matter when it comes to making your videos really pop. So let's get it. What's going on, my friends? I hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Now, I'm going to be talking about this from a standpoint when it comes to new people coming in, but also when it comes to, I guess, the extra things that you should be thinking about after. This is when you've been established, and it's the things that you should be kind of getting to really upscale your work. But first of all, obviously buying one camera. Now, all you need right at the start is one camera, one very basic camera like the FX30. FX30 is incredible when it comes to video. If you can't afford the FX30, then buy something a little bit cheaper. Buy secondhand, buy an A6700. Sure, maybe you can go buy an A6400, the 8-bit Sony cameras. I do recommend you start trying to think about that 10-bit codec, because obviously when you start using S-Log or some sort of log curve, having 10-bit is going to be so much better when you're going to be color grading. But all the brand new cameras out these days that have pretty much 10-bit are almost flawless. You pretty much can film absolutely anything. So buying a camera from the start, don't worry about keep upgrading your camera, FX30, FX30 Mark II, FX30 Mark III, all those kind of things. Don't worry about that. And obviously don't worry too much about full frame versus APS-C versus micro four thirds. Do not worry about that. There are so many things at large that you could be worrying about first, whereas you don't want to be stressing about what sensor size you're going to be using. But generally, right from the start, APS-C cameras and APS-C lenses are cheaper. And that brings me to my next one, and that is buy only about 2 lenses. You don't really need too many lenses. I do recommend primes. I absolutely love them. What you want to be aiming for is roughly like a wide prime, a telephoto slash portrait sort of size, maybe a 50 or an 85. Or you do have the option to get the Tamron 35 to 150, which gives you a massive range, and then you can just get a wide prime lens, or you can go for the basic 24 to 70 and 70 to 200 kit. So you only roughly need about 2-ish lenses, maybe 3. Really depends on which lenses you actually choose. Now the next one is probably one of the most important, and that comes down to lighting. Roughly about 2 lights is all you need. A key light and potentially a rim light. But obviously that comes with those lights, you have to buy lighting stands and the basic diffuser. All you need is a nice large soft box to create a nice soft light, and you're pretty much done. After that, a couple of basic lights is enough, and I do recommend get roughly around 200 watts or above when it comes to a key light. 300, 350, something like that for a key light is pretty decent, and then a rim light can be a 60 or 100 watt light. But this is one of the most important things when it comes to cinematography, is mastering your lighting and trying to shape the light as well. And when it comes to shaping the light, that brings me to my next one, and that is diffusers and bounce boards. Now if you guys have done photography or videography, you've probably seen those 5-in-1 reflectors. Now they are great right from the start because they give you just enough. They give you a diffusion sheet inside, they give you a black, they give you a white, a gold, and a silver reflector. It really depends on which ones you actually get, but that could be enough to start, because you can diffuse the sunlight and get really nice soft lighting on your talent, or you could bounce the light up into your talent. You can use the black side to cut back on the light. There's so many different things that you can actually utilize with these bounce boards, and it's just incredible, and I absolutely recommend it right from the start. And the last one is split up into a couple of different bits, but that comes down to good audio. Now I do recommend get a really decent audio recorder, and one of my favorites right now is the Zoom F3. Now this is a fantastic recorder. It's very small. I'm using it right now, but it's a 32-bit float recorder and accepts 2 XLR cables into it. And obviously, if you don't know what 32-bit float is, you get so much dynamic range when it comes to that audio quality, and you just get much better audio, and you won't have to worry about clipping. Just get one of these or something very similar, and you're pretty much good to go. And then when it comes to the audio recorder, you need a decent audio device like a shotgun microphone, podcasting microphone, depending on what you're going to be utilizing these for. But generally, if you start off with just a shotgun microphone, you can use it in your studio, but you obviously can use it for client jobs as well if you're going to be booming it over the top. And then also, it is a good idea to get a wireless microphone. So DJI brought out their DJI Mic 2, or you do have the Rode Wireless Pro. Now, they both are 32-bit float internal recorders, and they're just great for basic videography stuff, interviews, and obviously talking head pieces like this. And generally, you'll get some lav mics with it. So if you do have the DJI Mic 2, you can get the lav mic with that, or the Rode Wireless Pro actually comes with 2 lav mics, which you can utilize their lav mics with that. Now, down the track, this is what you're going to be thinking about for the future. And right from the start, you should have a second camera, a B camera, just in case. And it's not just for a second angle, it's literally in case your A camera stuffs up, and if you're on a job, you have a B camera to start using, because you don't want to be telling the client, hey, sorry, I can't do any more work, my camera's kind of bugging. They're kind of like, well, we set up this content day, we need a whole bunch of content, and you just won't get hired again. So having that B camera is kind of like a little bit of insurance, but also you can use it for a second camera if you do interviews, if you want some like a slightly different camera angle or a slightly different looking shot. Because what I actually prefer is have a full frame camera and have an APS-C camera. But not just that, when it comes to my Sony cameras, I've got the FX6, which is a 12 megapixel camera, so it's not high resolution, it's not crazy sharp. But the FX30 actually pairs really well with it because it's a 6K sensor that downsamples to 4K, which gives you a really high resolution image. And that gives me the ability to have 2 different styles of images that I can actually be like, oh, you know, this job requires the FX30. It's perfectly enough, it's sharp enough, it does the job. And that's the camera I'm going to be choosing for this specific job. So it gives you a couple of different options you can choose from. So, you know, you could go the FX30 and get an A7S III secondhand or something like that. Or the, you know, amazing combo FX3 and FX30. So it really depends on what you go for, but getting 2 FX30s, I don't recommend, or getting 2 FX3s, I don't recommend. Try and get something slightly different so you have the different image that comes out of the cameras. Now, this next one is one that I do recommend, especially if you want to start doing some narrative work or creative pieces, and that's investing in some anamorphic lenses, some vintage lenses, just more stylistic choice lenses, so you can get just different looks. I am a big, massive advocate of anamorphic lenses. I absolutely love the look when it comes to shooting anamorphics in almost everything. It's not just the flares, definitely not just the flares, but it's the way that the background is rendered, the bokeh. It is so much different when it comes to, you know, clean G-Master lenses. It gives you so much more character and just so much more, I suppose, texture to the image. And that is something that you generally try to chase when you start to get really deep into cinematography and you really start to appreciate the grittiness of some shots. Now, the next one is very similar to the third one in the first categories, and that's lighting and investing in more lighting. Now, we're talking not just your cob lights that you've already got, but different styles of lights like LED tubes, little LED panels that you can be, you know, pocketable, put them in lamps, put them in backgrounds, illuminate the background a little bit more, but those tubes can also be in shot, kind of like this tube I've got right here, but, you know, fitness shoots, you can do some tubing so you can, you know, hold it up and get a little bit of kick light in someone's side of the face. there's just so much more, I suppose, versatility when it comes to these small LED tubes, especially when they're battery powered, than it is with powered cob lights. So trying to invest in some more lights and more different types of lights. But when it comes to that as well, is investing in different modifiers. So when it comes to the cob lights, they are generally Bowens mount, and you could invest in larger diffusers, honeycombs, so you can actually direct the light into a specific area. But you can also get lanterns as well. So if you don't know what a lantern is, essentially it's just a really large ball, kind of like a Chinese Asian sort of lantern, and it sort of spreads the light around nice and evenly, and you can put it for top-down shots, which looks absolutely beautiful. But these kind of things is what you should be thinking about. And the next one is camera accessories to make your job easier. So we're talking matte boxes to try and cut back on the lights, which is really handy, but also matte boxes can have variable ND filters in it, like the Tilter matte box system, which is incredible. I absolutely love that system. You do have other systems as well that you can go for, but also, camera monitors and cages and V-mount batteries. Those kind of things are just going to help you do the job a lot better, a lot easier, and it more comes down to workflow. These are the things that sort of help your workflow at the end of the day. And lastly is focusing on a really good workstation. So kind of like my workstation right here, a really powerful PC or a Mac and a couple of screens, a nice desk, nice laptop or whatever, a nice space that you're going to be working in, because having a really nice space and a nice environment to work in is going to increase your workflow, make the jobs more enjoyable, make you pump out the jobs a lot faster and easier. So these things are what you need to think about down the track if you can't think about them at first, because it really does come down to budget. If you have an unlimited budget, I mean, go ham. Get whatever you need to get right from the start, and then you're pretty much Gucci right from the start. So, but these are things that you should be thinking about if you are on a pretty tight budget. So anyway, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. That would be amazing. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get it.